Greetings from Darlington Farm here. As usual, it's early and I'm out here in the shop trying to get some work done here, and kind of wanted to show you what I was up to here. I've been using the Shark a lot lately, and quite honestly, I wish I would have gone with a different CNC. Not to rip on Rockler or Next Wave, but for as much as this thing cost, I'm not really that thrilled with it. Kind of tell you what all my list is here. Number one, this is a 24-inch straight edge on the table here. You see that? Hopefully that's in focus. That is about 40 thousandths, 50 thousandths worth of bow in the table, which isn't really a big deal if you're using 3/4 inch material, but the other day I was cutting some 1/4 inch, or actually rather it was 3mm, and in the middle I wasn't cutting all the way through. Couldn't figure out why, but the straight edge on there and there's a big dip in it. And then I was looking at the way the table attaches to the frame here, and there's only 2 bolts that attach to the subframe here. One here and one here. This is just the Rockler rails. Actually they sell them at Rockler, and we'll get into that in a minute, that are just bolted to this, and it moves. You see that? You can push it, you know, 1/4 of an inch or more with just your thumb there, so that's kind of disappointing. I think it's kind of a good machine to start off with and modify, which is what I'm about ready to do here. And to that end, I got some of these Rockler, these rails. They sell them at Rockler. Here's what they look like in the package. They have, I think it's a 3 and a 3.5. And then the 2 1/4 rails here, which funny, you know, that's I realize this is sold by Rockler, but it's the same rail, which I guess works out well if you're going to modify it. So I guess in my modifications here, from the factory, it comes with the X-axis being perpendicular to the table, and I find it really difficult when you're making files to do it that way. So I switched the gantry 180 degrees, and then in the controller here I swapped the X and Y servos, where you know, it's the gantry is flipped and then the servos are flipped to where this, the long or the axis parallel to the table here is now the X-axis, like every other CNC out there, and then the Y-axis is the perpendicular axis to the table. So this is Y and this is X. It's so much simpler to do. At least for me, it's a lot easier to do now. I realize the cut is symmetrical, and it doesn't really matter which is which, but I just find it a lot easier to do it that way. Anyway, so what I'm going to be doing today to try and fix the bow and the table here, which I'm really kind of disgusted with for as much as this damn thing cost, I'm going to take these Rockler rails and mount them just underneath here, and these are flat enough where I'm hoping that will just draw the table up. Here, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that's how much bow is in the table. I'm hoping that will flatten the table out. I'm going to put one underneath there, and then along the X-axis here, I'm going to mount this on top of the table here. So you can see that here, along the edge of the X-axis. And then I'm going to take another one of these here. Now this is the other edge of the Y-axis, and mount it here to where I have an origin point here, which I can just put my work in here, set it down, and then use this as the origin point where I don't have to keep re-zeroing every time I put work in there. So I'm thinking this will speed up my workflow here. I've got a lot of projects kind of coming up here. One of them is doing some inlaid flooring, and I think this will work really well for that, but I need a perfectly square base where I can just pop the panels in, cut out my inlay, and then, you know, have it to where every piece is perfect, to where it all fits together. So I'm hoping that'll work, and hoping this I can flatten the table out here. That's just really disheartening that, you know, for crap almost 4,000 bucks, this damn thing, the table is off by, you know, probably close to 1/8 of an inch. You know, depending on where you measure it, the table's off anywhere from you know, 50 thousandths or so, all the way up to close to 1/8 of an inch. So that's kind of disheartening for as much as the damn thing cost. I could have just bought a cheaper one and modified it, and I was kind of hoping that since Rockler sold it, it was actually pretty good. But anyway, not to rip on them. I mean, I guess if you're not using it for, you know, if you don't need the preciseness out of it, it's fine. But, you know, if you're wanting to use it kind of in place of a commercial one, or, you know, like a bigger, bigger CNC, like for me, this is kind of going to be a stepping stone, and say once I kind of get used to it and see how that part of the business goes, and say I planned on kind of upgrading to you know, maybe a 4x8 or a 5x10, but that's a pretty big investment. I mean, that's, you know, $25,000-$30,000 for a shop bot, and I don't really want to spend that much right now. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of, I guess I'm kind of rambling here. But anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. I'm going to take some more video here as I add the various parts and pieces to this thing to try and make it a little more usable. And anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. Click, comment, subscribe.